Let me ask you something. Have you recently looked in the mirror, stuck out your tongue, and noticed that it looks completely different than it used to? Maybe it feels like you just drank a cup of scalding hot coffee, leaving that lingering, awful burning sensation on the tip and sides of your tongue, except that feeling never actually goes away no matter how much cold water you drink. Or perhaps you have realized that your tongue looks strangely smooth and glossy, like it has been completely stripped of its natural texture, and it is glowing a bright, angry, beefy red color that looks extremely unnatural. You might be sitting there right now, gently rubbing your tongue against the roof of your mouth, feeling a strange numbness, a prickly tingling, or deep painful cracks that make eating your favorite foods an absolute nightmare. You might even find yourself running your teeth over the surface of your tongue, confused as to why the normal, slightly rough texture you have had your entire life has suddenly vanished, replaced by a slippery, highly sensitive surface that seems to react violently to almost everything you put in your mouth. What you probably think is causing this actually isn't the real problem at all. You might be completely terrified that this is a sign of something sinister, like an early form of oral cancer, or maybe you just assume it is an inevitable, depressing part of getting older that you simply have to accept. Your dentist might have handed you a special toothpaste for sensitive mouths or told you that your brushing habits need to change. Your general practitioner doctor might have barely glanced up from their clipboard, told you that you just have chronic dry mouth, and instructed you to drink more water or chew some sugar-free gum to stimulate your salivary glands. But what if I told you that your tongue is actually acting as a loud, desperate alarm bell for a silent crisis happening deep inside your digestive system and your bloodstream? The changes happening inside your mouth right now are not isolated oral problems that can be fixed with a mouthwash. They are actually a direct, undeniable cry for help from your nervous system and your red blood cells pointing to a massive hidden nutritional collapse that affects millions of people over the age of 60, often going completely undiagnosed until irreversible damage has been done. I know exactly how exhausting, isolating, and terrifying this condition can be, and we need to talk about what your daily life has actually become because of this relentless discomfort. You wake up in the morning hoping that today will magically be the day your mouth finally feels normal again. You walk into the kitchen to pour yourself a simple cup of morning coffee, or maybe you crave a refreshing glass of orange juice to start your day. But the very second that acidic, warm liquid touches your tongue, you wince in agony. A sharp, stinging pain shoots across your mouth, radiating down into your jaw. Eating and drinking are no longer simple pleasures for you. They have become calculated, anxiety-inducing chores that you honestly dread. You find yourself pushing your food around your plate at dinner time, purposefully avoiding anything spicy, anything salty, anything crunchy, and anything acidic. You have had to give up your favorite rich tomato sauces, your fresh citrus fruits, your crusty artisanal breads, and your heavily seasoned family recipes, because they feel like pure battery acid on your bare tissues. You are likely living on a bland, uninspiring, soft diet of plain oatmeal, mashed potatoes, and mild, lukewarm soups, and even those gentle foods can sometimes leave your mouth throbbing for hours afterward. And the physical pain is only half of the nightmare you are living through. The other half is the complete and utter lack of answers from the medical community, which is enough to make anyone feel like they are slowly losing their mind. You finally build up the courage, the patience, and the energy to go to the doctor's office, desperately hoping for a solution. You sit in that freezing cold waiting room for 45 minutes, staring at the clock, only to finally be called back for a rushed, 7-minute appointment with a physician who is already looking at the door. You try your hardest to explain the burning, the smoothness, the weird metallic taste that constantly coats your mouth. You try to tell them that you are also feeling strangely exhausted lately, maybe feeling a little unsteady on your feet when you walk, or dealing with some unusual brain fog that makes it hard to remember simple words. But the doctor waves away your concerns with a dismissive wave of the hand. They chalk it all up to the ultimate catch-all excuse of modern medicine. They tell you it is just your age, as if suffering is a mandatory requirement for growing older. They say that as we age, our salivary glands just do not work as well, or they blame it on a mild sinus drainage issue. They quickly write you a prescription for a synthetic saliva substitute, maybe a mild topical numbing gel, and they send you out the door feeling completely dismissed, completely unheard, and totally hopeless. It makes you feel incredibly alone in your own body. You try to explain to your family why you cannot go out to that nice Italian restaurant with them anymore, or why you are suddenly acting so picky and difficult about your dinners, but they do not really understand the constant, nagging discomfort you are carrying around in your mouth every single second of the day. It distracts you from your conversations with your grandchildren. It makes it incredibly hard to fall asleep at night because the burning, tingling sensation seems to echo loudly in the quiet of your bedroom when there are no other distractions. It chips away at your joy, your vibrant social life, and your independence. You are tired of being told that your suffering is normal. You are tired of temporary band-aid fixes that do not actually heal the raw tissue in your mouth. You are sick and tired of feeling like your physical body is slowly falling apart, and no one in a white coat cares enough to sit down, run the right tests, and figure out exactly why it is happening. Please take a deep, calming breath right now, because I am here to tell you that you do not have to live like this anymore. You are not crazy, you are not making this up. You are not just getting old, and this is absolutely not something you have to silently endure for the rest of your life. My name is Dr. Arthur. I have spent my entire medical career sitting across from patients exactly like you, patients who have been repeatedly pushed aside by a deeply broken, pharmaceutical-driven healthcare system that only treats surface-level symptoms instead of bravely chasing down the fundamental root causes. My personal mission as a doctor is to actually listen to you, to validate your real, tangible physical suffering, and to give you the exact, science-backed tools to heal your body from the inside out. Today, I am going to reveal exactly why your tongue is changing colors and textures so dramatically. I am going to show you the real biological root cause behind the relentless burning and the painful swelling. And most importantly, I am going to give you the exact, natural, and highly effective steps to fix this hidden deficiency, regenerate your damaged oral tissues, and finally get your life, your total comfort, and your favorite delicious foods back. To truly heal this frustrating condition, we need to completely change how you view your own body. I want you to stop looking at your burning, swollen tongue as an enemy that is actively trying to torture you. Your body is not betraying you. In fact, it is doing the exact opposite. Your body is trying desperately to protect you, and your tongue is simply acting as the ultimate canary in the coal mine for your overall health. You see, the microscopic cells on the surface of your tongue, particularly those tiny little sensory bumps called papillae, have one of the fastest turnover rates of any cellular tissue in your entire human body. They are constantly dying off, shedding, and completely replacing themselves every few days to keep your mouth healthy and your sense of taste sharp. But to perform this incredibly fast, complex cellular division and rapid regeneration, your body requires massive, continuous amounts of very specific nutritional building blocks. When your body is running out of those critical building blocks, the very first place it shows up is in the tissues that need them the most urgently. Your tongue is bravely raising a giant red flag to warn you that your bone marrow, your brain, and your entire central nervous system are starving for vital, life-sustaining nutrients. There are 4 major visible changes that happen to the tongue. When you cross the age of 60 and your digestive system quietly begins to falter, the first massive change is the one that often sends people into an absolute panic. When they look in the bathroom mirror, it is when your tongue loses its normal, slightly rough, velvety texture and becomes completely smooth, shiny, and almost slippery to the touch. In the medical world, we call this specific condition atrophic glossitis. Those tiny, hair-like bumps on your tongue, the papillae, are actually the structural home to your taste buds. When they shrink, flatten, and disappear entirely, leaving a bald, shiny, completely unnatural surface, it is a glaring, undeniable physical sign of a severe, long-term vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin B12 is the master architect of your cellular DNA synthesis. Without adequate B12, your cells simply cannot divide and replicate correctly. Because the rapidly dividing cells on your tongue cannot regenerate without this crucial vitamin, they just die off and do not return, leaving your tongue perfectly smooth, completely defenseless, and highly vulnerable to any form of physical or chemical irritation. The second major change is the terrifying, invisible sensation that your tongue has been severely scalded by boiling hot water. This is frequently accompanied by a bizarre, creeping tingling or a deep numbness that can slowly spread to your lips, your gums, and the entire roof of your mouth. This phenomenon, often diagnosed as burning mouth syndrome, is directly tied to exactly what a chronic B12 deficiency does to your delicate nervous system over time. Vitamin B12 is solely responsible for building and maintaining the myelin sheath, which is the protective, fatty insulation wrapped tightly around your nerve fibers. I want you to imagine the electrical wires plugged into the wall behind your television. If the thick rubber coating on those electrical wires slowly eroded away, leaving the metal exposed, the raw electrical current would arc, spark, and violently short-circuit. That is exactly what is happening to the thousands of microscopic nerve endings inside your mouth right now. The protective fatty coating is dangerously thinning out because your body completely lacks the basic nutrients to maintain it. The raw, exposed nerves in your tongue are misfiring constantly, sending constant, agonizing pain signals to your brain even when there is absolutely nothing hot, spicy, or sharp inside your mouth. The third dramatic change is a shocking and deeply concerning shift in color. Your tongue might rapidly transform from a healthy, pale, uniform pink into a dark, angry, glowing, beefy red. This intense, unnatural redness is a massive clinical sign of deep, systemic internal inflammation and highly compromised oxygen delivery to your tissues. When you are severely deficient in B12, and very often its critical partner nutrient, folate or vitamin B9, your body physically cannot produce healthy, fully functioning, properly sized red blood cells. Instead, your bone marrow starts desperately pumping out these large, clumsy, abnormally shaped red blood cells that cannot carry oxygen efficiently through your tiny capillaries. This dangerous condition is known as macrocytic anemia because your tongue is a highly vascular active muscle that requires an enormous, continuous amount of oxygen-rich blood to stay healthy and perform its functions. This severe lack of oxygen causes the tissues to become highly inflamed, deeply engorged with sluggish blood, and visibly red. Your tongue is literally suffocating for fresh oxygen at the deep cellular level, and the deep, beefy red color is a visible, terrifying manifestation of that silent internal suffocation. The fourth alarming change involves the physical structural integrity of the tongue's surface. You may start to notice deep, jagged fissures, painful physical cracks running straight down the center or spreading out along the sides, and recurring mouth ulcers or canker sores that simply refuse to heal no matter what topical treatments you apply. While a severe vitamin B12 deficiency is almost always the primary, driving culprit behind this breakdown, these painful cracks are very often amplified and worsened by a simultaneous critical deficiency in elemental iron and zinc. As we age, our dietary absorption of these essential trace minerals drops drastically and quietly. Iron is absolutely required for the proper production of structural collagen and the daily maintenance of strong, healthy mucosal tissues throughout the body. Zinc is the undisputed master healer of the human immune system and is absolutely critical for all forms of wound healing and tissue repair. When your B12 levels are tanking, your iron and zinc levels usually follow right behind it in a downward spiral, because the core root cause of all these specific deficiencies stems from the exact same location in your body, which brings us to the most important realization of all. It all comes down to the environment inside your stomach. This brings us to the absolute most important question we must answer today. Why is this horrifying nutritional collapse happening to you right now? You might be sitting there thinking to yourself, Dr. Arthur, I eat a very healthy, balanced diet. I eat farm-fresh eggs, I eat organic chicken, I even eat high-quality red meat occasionally. How could I possibly be starving for vitamin B12 and these other basic nutrients when I am eating all the right things? This is the tragic, well-kept secret that most conventional, rushed doctors completely fail to explain to their older patients. You are not deficient because you are failing to eat the right foods. You are deeply deficient because your aging body has completely lost the physical, mechanical ability to actually absorb the life-saving nutrients from the healthy food you faithfully swallow every day. As we naturally cross the age of 60, our stomachs naturally begin to produce significantly less strong hydrochloric acid. This gradual, silent decline in stomach acid production is a quiet, devastating shift in your fundamental biology that triggers a massive, catastrophic domino effect of severe malnutrition that ruins your oral health. You have to understand the journey of this vitamin to see why this happens. You see, vitamin B12 is not just freely floating around loose in your food. In a beautiful piece of steak, a piece of fish, or a scrambled egg, the B12 molecule is tightly chemically bound to complex animal proteins. In order to break that strong chemical bond and free the B12, so your body can actually use it, you absolutely need a highly acidic, potent, burning environment inside your stomach. Without strong, fiery stomach acid to break that bond, the B12 remains firmly locked inside the protein, passes entirely through your long digestive tract, and is literally flushed down the toilet, completely useless to your starving cells. But the biological process gets even more incredibly complicated than that. Your stomach lining also produces a very special, highly specific, intricate protein called intrinsic factor. Intrinsic factor acts exactly like a highly trained, secure transport vehicle for the vitamin. Once the stomach acid successfully frees the B12 from the meat protein, the intrinsic factor must immediately grab onto it, wrap securely around it, and safely escort it all the way down through the harsh environment of your small intestine, where it can finally, safely be absorbed into your waiting bloodstream. As we get older, it is a tragic double blow. Not only does our stomach acid production plummet drastically, but our cellular production of that vital intrinsic factor also falls off an absolute cliff. So, you can eat all the expensive grass-fed beef, pastured eggs, and wild-caught salmon in the world, but without potent stomach acid to free the B12, and without intrinsic factor to transport it safely, you will slowly, quietly, and painfully starve at a deep cellular level regardless of your perfect diet. This is exactly why just going to the pharmacy and taking a standard, cheap, hard multivitamin from the grocery store shelf will do absolutely nothing for your burning, smooth, painful tongue. Those cheap, mass-produced pills contain a cheap synthetic form of B12 called cyanocobalamin, which stubbornly relies on your stomach digestion to be broken down and converted into a usable form by the liver. If your stomach digestion is already functionally broken due to your age and lack of acid, swallowing those standard, rock-hard vitamin pills is exactly like trying to put out a raging forest fire with a tiny plastic water gun. It is a complete and utter waste of your precious time, your hard-earned money, and your fading hope. This severe malabsorption crisis is then heavily compounded and accelerated by the daily pharmaceutical medications you are likely taking under the orders of your doctor. I see this exact tragic scenario play out every single day in my private clinic. A frustrated patient comes in with a violently burning tongue, painful neuropathy in their feet, and crushing chronic fatigue. I look at their extensive medical chart, and I see they have been taking a daily acid reducer, a powerful proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole, or popping over-the-counter antacids like candy for their daily heartburn or reflux. These potent drugs completely wipe out whatever precious, tiny little bit of stomach acid you have left, effectively shutting down your ability to absorb any B12 whatsoever. I also see patients faithfully taking metformin for their blood sugar issues or various blood pressure medications that further severely disrupt nutrient absorption in the gut. The medical system gives you a chemical pill to fix your acid reflux, which then destroys your B12 absorption, which then causes your tongue to burn and your delicate nerves to degenerate, and then they insult your intelligence by offering you a synthetic saliva gel to fix your burning mouth. It is an endless, maddening, highly profitable cycle of treating medication side effects. Instead of simply fixing the broken biological machinery that caused the issue in the first place, we absolutely have to bypass your broken, aging digestive system completely. If we want to save your tongue, protect your vulnerable nervous system, and fully restore your daily quality of life, we cannot rely on your depleted stomach acid or your missing intrinsic factor anymore. We have to intelligently deliver the active, ready-to-use building blocks directly into your bloodstream, where they can go to work immediately. This is exactly how we are going to extinguish the raging fire in your mouth biologically regrow those tiny missing papillae, and proudly bring back your ability to taste. And genuinely enjoy your favorite foods without a single wince of pain. The healing process requires a very specific, targeted, and deliberate approach that floods your damaged oral tissues with exactly what they have been begging for over the last several years. Here is exactly what I want you to do, starting tonight in your own home. Before you go to bed this evening, I want you to walk into your bathroom, open your cabinet, and completely stop using any harsh, commercial, brightly colored mouthwashes that contain alcohol or artificial antibacterial chemicals. These aggressive burning liquids are essentially pouring highly toxic acid on your already exposed, unprotected nerve endings in your tongue. They mercilessly destroy the delicate, protective bacterial microbiome of your mouth and actively prevent any natural, organic healing from taking place overnight. Instead of those harsh chemicals, if your mouth is burning or aching, before bed, I want you to rinse your mouth gently with a simple, incredibly soothing mixture of warm, filtered water and a small pinch of pure, unrefined Celtic sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. This gentle, mineral-rich saline solution will temporarily calm the localized inflammation, visibly reduce the angry swelling, and create a highly hospitable, balanced environment for your tissue cells to finally begin their vital overnight repair process without stinging or burning you in the process. Tomorrow morning, when you wake up, your absolute most important task for the day is to acquire the correct, highly bioavailable active form of vitamin B12. Please listen to me carefully. Do not buy hard pills that you have to swallow with water. Do not buy the cheap synthetic cyanocobalamin form that dominates the pharmacy shelves. You must actively look for a sublingual liquid drop or a dissolving lozenge that specifically lists the ingredient as methylcobalamin. Methylcobalamin is the pure, active, naturally occurring form of B12 that your nervous system and your tongue can use instantly without any conversion needed. By taking it sublingually, which simply means letting it dissolve completely, and slowly under your tongue, you are brilliantly and strategically bypassing your broken stomach entirely. The dense, rich network of tiny blood vessels and capillaries directly under your tongue will absorb the active methylcobalamin directly into your bloodstream within mere seconds. I strongly recommend starting with at least 1,000 to 2,000 micrograms daily, but many of my older patients who have suffered for years require up to 5,000 micrograms to truly replenish their deeply depleted, starving cellular stores. You will let it dissolve gently under your tongue every single morning, and you will finally give your body the exact biological spark it desperately needs to restart healthy cellular division and regrow your papillae. As you move through this week, we need to actively support that flood of B12 with the specific structural cofactors that rebuild your tongue's physical integrity and close up those painful cracks. I want you to incorporate a high-quality, highly absorbable zinc supplement, specifically zinc glycinate or zinc picolinate, taking about 15 to 30 milligrams with a solid meal to avoid any potential nausea. This specific form of zinc will immediately begin working to seal those painful cracks and deep fissures on the surface of your tongue, acting like biological glue for your tissues. You must also focus deeply on eating easily digestible, highly nutrient-dense soft foods that powerfully deliver heme iron and natural bioavailable folate without irritating your sensitive mouth. Slow-cooked, tender organ meats like a mild, creamy chicken liver pate are quite literally nature's ultimate, most powerful multivitamin and are incredibly easy on a sore, burning tongue. If you absolutely cannot stomach the taste of liver, you must focus on deeply cooked, soft, leafy greens like spinach and rich, homemade bone broths that are heavily packed with the exact amino acids and collagen your mucosal lining desperately needs to rebuild itself. You should also confidently call your doctor's office this week and schedule a comprehensive blood panel, specifically and firmly demanding tests for your B12 levels, your homocysteine levels to check for true tissue absorption, and a complete blood count to accurately check the physical size of your red blood cells. Do not let them brush you off by telling you a low normal B12 level is perfectly fine for your age. For older adults, optimal brain, nerve, and tongue health strictly requires B12 levels to be well into the upper quarter of the standard reference range. You have suffered with this mysterious, isolating, and painful condition in absolute silence for far too long. You have been brushed off by professionals, misdiagnosed with dry mouth, and cruelly forced to give up the simple, everyday pleasures of enjoying a good, flavorful meal with your loved ones. But now, you hold the absolute biological truth in your hands. You now know that your angry, smooth, burning tongue is not a sign of inevitable aging, but simply a desperate, fixable cry for active methylcobalamin, healing zinc, and a clever bypass of your aging digestive system. By taking total control of your health with sublingual absorption starting tomorrow morning, you are taking the first massive, empowering step toward eating comfortably, sleeping peacefully without burning pain, and fiercely protecting your precious nervous system from long-term irreversible cognitive decline. Healing damaged nerves and regenerating oral tissue takes a little bit of time and patience, but the human body is incredibly, miraculously resilient when you finally give it the exact, correct fuel it has been begging for. I want to hear directly from you right now. Have you been privately experiencing a strange, smooth texture, deep, painful cracks, or a relentless burning sensation on your tongue? And what exact excuse did your doctor give you when you finally gathered the courage to bring it up? Please share your personal story with me down in the comments section below, because reading about your honest experience helps thousands of others realize they are not crazy, and they are not alone in this incredibly frustrating fight. If this video opened your eyes, validated your daily struggles, and finally gave you the concrete, scientific answers you have been desperately searching for, please hit the subscribe button right now, so we can continue to deeply heal your body together through science and truth. And most importantly, please share this specific video with a friend or a family member over the age of 60 who might be quietly suffering from mysterious mouth pain, a changing tongue, or unexplainable fatigue. Thank you so much for trusting me with your valuable time, your incredible health, and your healing journey today. I am Dr. Arthur, and I will see you in the next video.